What's going on, everybody? My name is Michael Weir, and these are my favorite movies from the year 2020. Now, 2020 was a year for movies that was not fantastic. I'll be completely honest with you guys. I don't know how many of these movies would have made my actual list had the entire slate of 2020 that was supposed to come out actually come out. I know that a lot of superhero movies probably would have made my list, and so a lot of these would have been bumped out to honorable mentions. Case in point, I normally have 10 movies that make my list, and this year there were only 8. Only 8 movies that I thought, you know what, these are the movies that I want to recommend to people. I've done reviews for several of these, and some of these I haven't done reviews on just because of time and, you know, just the inability to do things in 2020. But here we are at the end of the year, so here are my favorite movies from the year 2020. Now, the first one on my list this year, guys, is actually my most anticipated movie of the year, and that is Tenet. That's right, I put it pretty low on this list because, well, Tenet was a movie that I had high expectations for, and I was let down, mostly by the sound mixing. The overall story, it's good, a little convoluted though, and then on top of all of that, having to understand a new plot, the music in the movie is so loud. It's why? What? Why? I don't know, but it's on this list because, I mean, I enjoy Robert Pattinson. Let's move on. The next movie on this list, guys, is the movie Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth. It's directed by the Russo brothers. I did a review on it. If you want to check it out. But I had to put this movie on this list because while it doesn't have a very good plot, the action in this movie is like something out of a John Wick movie. And since we didn't get a John Wick movie this year, we got Extraction. You know what? I'm pretty happy with it. Still not happy with the name Tyler Rake. Just throwing that out there. Let's move on. The next movie on this list is The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man was actually a fun spin on the Invisible Man story, you know, the classic story where he injects himself with something and becomes invisible. Well, that's not how it works in 2020 because in 2020, it's all technology based because of course it is, but actually it makes sense and it works. His suit's a little gross. I don't know. Does anybody else feel that? Like his suit with the cameras all moving around? That was kind of gross. That's me personally. Anyway, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed Elizabeth Moss in this movie, which is the first time I could say that ever. And, you know, overall, I had a fun time with the movie, and it was the last movie that we saw without COVID conditions in theaters. And now that I've said that word on YouTube, my channel will now be deleted forever. Now we're into the top 5. I told you guys I did not have a full 10 movies for this list this year. But at number 5, we have the movie Bad Boys for Life. Now, Bad Boys for Life was a fun movie that I enjoyed pretty much from start to finish. There was something that happens at the very end, actually in the after credit scene, that I really disliked. Can't really go into spoilers here because I don't want to ruin it for people who haven't seen it. But all I'll say is if you haven't seen Bad Boys for Life and you enjoy Will Smith and Martin Lawrence comedy, you should check it out because they do a really good job bringing that comedy vibe that Bad Boys for Life always had, bringing it back. Now, the number 4 movie on my list is the only superhero movie this year, which is very strange, but again, it's been a very strange year, and this is, I think, the only superhero movie that came out, and I don't count anything that was made in Korea or India. I don't watch those. I watched Wonder Woman 84, and I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. Now, I've had a couple days to process it since watching this, and there are some issues I have with it that I'll go in depth on a review, so check for that on my channel soon. But yeah, overall, Wonder Woman 84 was a fun time. When she created the invisible jet, it was a ton of fun, and you know, when she learns to fly in the movie and she's finally doing it, I really liked that. There was a lot of heart in that moment, and I enjoyed that about a superhero movie. Any movie that can make me feel like that, but it's also a superhero movie, it gets extra points. All right, guys, now we're down to the top 3. Now, the top 3, I will say this. I think these 3 movies would have made my list had the entire slate of 2020 come out. I don't know about the rest of the movies on this list, but here we are. This is the hand we were given. So at number 3, we have the movie Freaky. Now, Freaky is a movie starring Vince Vaughn and I forget her name, but a teenage girl, and they swap bodies. And so Vince Vaughn goes from this hard serial killer to this teenage girl, and he has to act like this teenage girl throughout the entire movie, and it's a ton of fun. I had a great time with it. I've also done a review, so you should go check that out. But that's, yeah, number 3, Freaky. And at number 2, again, I think this would have made my list because I really enjoyed this movie. It's called Underwater. Now, Underwater is a movie about some deep ocean diver drilling crew. They're basically pulling whatever natural resource they found in the ocean. It's set in the future, and they're pulling whatever natural resource they can out of the ocean, and something happens down there. I don't want to go into spoilers. If you guys haven't seen Underwater and you like sci-fi movies, you should definitely check this out. I put this movie, you know, anything that's like in outer space or deep sea underwater, those intrigue me a lot because you have to wear a suit if you're going to go outside of your element, which is just different. Water scares me. Water scares me in outer space space scares me. They're kind of the same because you have to stay in a ship, and then if you leave the ship, you have to get in a suit, and you got to hope there's no holes in the suit. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I'm also terrified of drowning. So this movie really brought that out of me, and TJ Miller's in it, and he's a lot of fun. So if you guys haven't seen Underwater, check it out. It's my number 2 movie from 2020. Okay, guys, we're down to the final movie, the movie that made me the happiest in the year 2020, and that is The Gentleman. Now, The Gentleman is a Guy Ritchie film that I've also done a review on. You should go check it out. This movie was near flawless, and I told myself when I saw it, I was like, man, I don't know if anything's going to top that this year. And then the year happened that we didn't get hardly any movies, and The Gentleman kept on the list at number 1 the entire year. It's never been done before. I've had movies I've seen that I'm like, man, that's my number 1. And 4 months later, I see something, I'm like, all right, that's number 5 now, and because this is this, and this. No, The Gentleman stayed the course. The Gentleman is my favorite movie from 2020. And those are my favorite movies from 2020. Guys, if you enjoyed this, hit the like button and the share button so your friends can see it. If you've got a list of movies that you've seen in the year 2020, and you're like, you know what, these are my favorite movies that I saw this year, put those in the comment section down below. I love hearing your lists. I love going back and forth with you guys. Maybe there's something on my list so you would have moved around a little bit. I'd love to hear your thoughts, just in general. It's fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.